Today I fucked up by tossing a package. So this happened last week, you know, in the midst of all the Christmas chaos. I work for one of those delivery companies that's rather well known worldwide. I should also point out that it was my co-worker's fault and not mine. Anyway, I had just finished unloading my truck and was depositing my ground packages into its proper bin and taking care of my paperwork when there's a commotion coming from the front of the station. In comes marching the paramedics and fire department looking for an injured man with the name, for anonymity we will call him Jon Snow. I know, not very original or cool anymore, but with my newfound time I've invested in audiobooks. I'm already on book 4. Anyway, I tell them, oh hang on, there's no injury I know of. Let me go ask my station supervisor. I know, good lil worker be me. But seeing as I've been back at the station for a total of 5 minutes, I don't know WTF is going on. So I go back out to the loading dock shouting for my boss, Jim. Hey Jim, the paramedics are here looking for an injured Jon Snow. Do you know anything about that? Jim: what? No, there's been no accident here. Well, the shop just closed up. Let's make sure there's no one in the customer area. So he leads the paramedics around the station looking for Mr. Snow. Jim proceeds to come back into the loading dock as we are in the middle of our evening sort and have 10 or so minutes to get the truck out to the ramp. Well, there's no Mr. Snow here. That's when another co-worker chimes in and says, oh, you're looking for Mr. Jon Snow? I had a package for him I put over here. Leads the paramedics to the ground bin. See right here. Here's a package for Mr. Jon Snow. Paramedics open the package. It's a frickin' life alert that was pressed, triggered or sounded when it was tossed into the bin. Paramedics: well, first time for everything I suppose. Glad no one's hurt and my supervisor is not going to believe this story. And that, my friends, is why you shouldn't throw packages. TLDR, my co-worker threw a package in a bin in the midst of the Christmas chaos, unknowingly triggered a life alert summoning the paramedics and fire department. This reminds me of the time, many moons ago, of when a colleague of mine, EMS, once spent over half an hour on the phone with a watch. Number of modern smart watches that link in with phones are a little too smart for their own good. If they detect a sudden impact, such as fall or a car crash, they put a notification on the screen. If you don't dismiss the notification within a set time, they assume you're incapacitated/collapsed. Dial 911/999/112/ whatever your local emergency number is for you, and play an automated message on repeat including the GPS coordinates. The GPS on this particular fruit-branded watch put it somewhere in a massive leisure facility. Long story short, someone else phones the leisure facility on another line. They search the place calling out, eventually finding the offending watch in someone's gym bag, thrown into the back of a locker in the pool changing room. Oops. I work at an assisted living facility, so I know all about how sensitive those things are. That's too funny. Smiley face, smiley face. My only thought is, why send them armed and at the ready? But I suppose sometimes putting a battery in is hard, for the recipient. Ha, that's not the ending I was expecting. I also work for a rather well-known delivery company, maybe the same one. Last week was nuts. Weird shit was bound to happen. Same. Peak season is always an adventure, isn't it? The real FU was starting the A Song of Ice and Fire series. We're never getting the final books. Yeah, you're probably right. But they're so good. Lazy bastard Skype finish it. But he has money now and doesn't gaff. Do you mind if I ask about my package? I ordered that BTCH on December 1st. Literally everyone in existence right now. Today I fucked up by eating Oreos. My wife bought several packages of Oreos this week. She told me they were for family for Christmas. What I assumed was she was going to lay some variety out on a plate. Regular, thin mint, double stuff. So for lunch I opened the thin mint ones while she was shopping. I ate a handful, maybe 2 or 3 handfuls. It didn't matter since there were so many freaking Oreos. Who would care? This afternoon she talked about how every niece and nephew would get their own bag of Oreos this year. and of their favorite type. I couldn't let her wrap them up, or whatever she was going to do with them, tomorrow. How would it look if Anise opened her yummy minty thin Oreos and there were maybe 2 or 3 handfuls missing? Or 4 or 5? So tonight I told her I was going to the ATM. I did, but also to the grocery store, where I stood in line for 20 effing minutes because, you know, Christmas, with my bag of thin, sugary mint flavored Oreos. It's now 11:30 p.m. and my wife has gone to bed. I have swapped out the bag of half-eaten Oreos with the new one. I am now eating the remainder of the bag from earlier today because I sure as hell am not going to waste thin, minty, Oreos, am I? Today I have become a fatter, grubbier, mint-flavored thin Oreo-loving pig. Too long didn't read. Pigged out on Christmas Oreos. Now eating an entire bag of Oreos to hide the evidence. This made me laugh so much. Also, I don't see this as a fail, you won. I recently added Oreos to my Amazon Subscribe and Save. My excuse was that Oreos are the best for cookie jars. This excuse goes away when the Santa cookie jar gets put away and the next month's shipment arrives. Nah, they're vegan. Put them in a bowl and call it a salad. Live dangerously. You are a man after my own heart. And you're a good one because you took the time to fix the damage. Now you just have to hope your wife doesn't read Reddit. Think I'll go buy some mint Oreos in honor of you. I applaud your commitment to destroying the remaining evidence. Today I fucked up by leaving my boyfriend's place. This did not happen today, but I die a little inside every time I think about it. I met my, then, boyfriend during school. We each had our own apartment but spent all of our time together. We were basically living together but kept the appearances of having separate places because we both have very traditional parents, like the no sex before marriage, or s/os are introduced as friends from school type of traditional. For the next 2 to 3 years we kept up the ruse and would migrate our stuff back to our own place whenever our parents would visit. It all worked out fine. Fast forward to graduation. Both our families came to the graduation. At this point, I've not met his parents, but they had extended an invite to my family and me to have a meal after the graduation ceremony. It all went fairly well. After graduation, his parents decided to help him move back home while he looked for a new place. So before they came, I looked around the apartment and cleared out my stuff. Or so I thought. The BF and his dad were moving the bed together, and when they finally slid it away from the wall, the bra fell onto the floor. It was lodged in the crevice between the bed and the wall. My BF said everything started going into slow motion and he knew it was too late to try to recover. His dad picked up the bra and threw it at him. Awkwardness ensued and they finished the rest of the move in silence. Anyway, his dad must have told his mom because he got a call later that day and was given a stern talking to about being at school for studying purposes and not to make any mistake he would regret. We are married now, but I am pretty sure they knew the bra was mine and probably thought I'm a sex fiend who stole their boy's innocence. I'm just glad they never mentioned that incident at a family dinner with my parents. That would be a different kind of hell. Too long didn't read, left my bra at my BF's, his very traditional parents found it, gave him a talk and probably judged/s me silently. The only FU I can detect came from your parents. It's your private lives and they need to respect that. If they are good parents, they will calm down in couple of days. They just freaked out, for something new, their innocent boy, becoming a man. Similar upbringing for my wife and I. But we basically lived together from the time she went to college. We started dating in high school, up until we got married, but kept up appearances of separate housing. The night before our wedding, I was at my parents' house with one of my groomsmen, and basically all of my family. So he starts telling stories about me from college, when we lived together. And one of the stories he told was about how confused I was when I came home one morning and found a white girl, he is Indian, in his bed. Dead silence as my grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles etc. all stare at me. He tried to salvage it by saying from the library. He had been at the library all night. My sister and cousin thought it was the funniest damn story they had ever heard because I was always the good one of the family, which just means I never got caught. I can't decide if it's worse to have my parents find out or his parents. Sure, it'd be terrible if my parents knew, but now I'll never know what my in-laws really think of me, lol. Reminds me of the time my family FaceTimed my brother at college. My mother is quite conservative, and while she's more protective of me, the daughter, she still tends to avoid topics like relationships and sex with all of us. She prefers avoidance when it comes to topics that make her uncomfortable. Well, we were on FaceTime with him, and in the background, barely noticeable, was a bra on the lampshade, just like in the movies. Could barely hold in my laughter when I noticed, but no one really said anything. Eventually it became apparent to me, my dad and my mom, and it became awkward because no one was going to point it out, but of course it was right there in frame. Eventually my brother caught on that we were acting weird, saw the bra in his own monitor and quietly excused himself to go to the bathroom. He turned the camera off to go, and lo and behold, when he returned, the bra had mysteriously disappeared from the frame. Lamau. I texted him later and we laughed about it. It has not been mentioned since. But I think this story deserves the occasional mysterious bras appearing on a lampshade here and there from time to time, you know, just for laughs. Smiley face. BF fail. Missed an opportunity to just put it on and stare down his dad. Assert dominance. Edit. What's really lol is I imagine he would put it on his head, kind of like Batman or Stitch. Those kind of parents lead to even worse mistakes away at school. In college, all work and no play doesn't make Jack a dull boy. It's half likely to make Jack suicidal. It's not so bad. Would it have made life easier if they weren't so traditional? Absolutely. But they support us in other ways that more independent parents do not.